All right, today we're going to crack open the playbook for building a real successful Amazon business. We're walking through the 6 critical steps that separate the sellers who actually make it from those who, well, just fizzle out. So let me ask you, have you been thinking about selling on Amazon? I bet you have. It feels like this massive opportunity, right? Kind of like a modern day gold rush. But man, with millions of products out there, where do you even start? Okay, but here's a little dose of reality. The hard truth is, most new sellers don't make it past their first year. Now, don't let that scare you. The opportunity is absolutely real, but the path is littered with a few critical, and here's the key, completely avoidable mistakes that people make right at the beginning. But guess what? That is not going to be you, because we're about to walk through the 6 essential steps that make all the difference. Think of this as your roadmap to building an Amazon business that actually, lasts. Let's kick things off with part 1, finding your winning product. And I cannot stress this enough. This is, without a doubt, the single most important decision you are going to make. If you get this right, everything else just gets so much easier. So here's the first big mindset shift you need to make. The most successful sellers, they don't start by thinking about products. They start by looking for problems. Seriously. The biggest wins on Amazon don't come from chasing the latest trend. They come from solving a real nagging customer pain point. Okay, so how do you actually do that? Well, it's a 4-step process. First, you've got to put on your detective hat. You're going to be scouring forums, digging through product reviews, looking for those golden phrases like, "I just wish there was something that did this." Next, you check the search volume. You're aiming for that sweet spot, somewhere between 1,000 and 10,000 searches a month. Then you analyze the competition. You're looking for a market with, say, 5 to 20 competitors, not 500. And finally, you get super specific. Don't try to sell to everybody. Solve a problem for a very specific group, like remote workers or pet owners. All right, you've got a fantastic product idea. Awesome. Now comes the part everyone wonders about, the money. Let's talk about what it really costs, because understanding this upfront is so crucial. You don't want to run out of cash before you even get off the ground. So what's the magic number? Well, according to folks who've been there and done that, a realistic starting budget is somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. Yep, that's the kind of capital you'll need to launch properly and really get through those critical first few months. And look, that number isn't just pulled out of thin air. The biggest slice of the pie? Yeah, that's your first batch of inventory. But check out the second biggest expense, advertising. You have to budget for ads to get those first sales rolling. And please, don't skimp on things like professional photography. It's totally non-negotiable if you want to build trust. Honestly, planning for all these costs is what separates a smooth launch from a failed one. Okay, moving on. Next up is a huge operational decision, fulfillment. You've got the product, you've got the money, but how are you actually going to get that product into your customers' hands? It really boils down to one big choice, FBA or FBM. It's actually pretty simple. FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. You basically sell it, and they ship it. You send your stuff to their warehouses, and they handle the storage, the packing, the shipping, even the customer service. Then there's FBM, Fulfillment by Merchant. In that case, you sell it, and you ship it. You're in charge of the whole shebang. So which one is right for you? Well, think of it like this. FBA is usually perfect for smaller, lightweight products that sell pretty fast. It lets you be more hands-off, and you automatically get that super important prime batch. FBM, on the other hand, makes more sense for really big or heavy items, or for sellers who want total control and maybe already have a shipping setup. And what are most people doing? Well, the data shows that FBA is definitely the most popular choice, no question. But what I find really interesting is that over a third of sellers use FBM in some way. It just goes to show you there's no single best answer. It all comes down to your product and your goals. Okay, operations are sorted. Let's move on to your number 1 sales tool, your product listing. You have to think of this as your digital storefront. It's your 24/7 salesperson, and it has one single job: turn casual shoppers into actual buyers. Now, this is what a lot of beginners do. They'll just write a title like wireless headphones. I mean, it's so weak, so generic, you're going to get absolutely buried by the competition. It tells the customer almost nothing, and it tells Amazon's search algorithm even less. But now, look at the difference. This after version is a conversion machine. It leads with the brand and the most important keywords, and then it's just packed with benefits. 30-hour battery, noise canceling, even tells you who it's for, like for travel and work. A shopper sees that and knows exactly what they're getting. And listen, it's not just about the title. You've got to optimize every single part of the listing. Use all those image slots. Show lifestyle photos, infographics, show the product in action. And your bullet points, they need to scream benefits, not just list features. And here's a big one. Make it your absolute mission to get at least 30 customer reviews in that first month. That's how you build the social proof and trust that really drives sales. Okay, so your listing looks amazing. It's perfect. But people need to actually see it, right? That's where we fire up the traffic engine, Amazon ads. Look, in today's crowded marketplace, you just can't sit back and hope for organic search to do all the work, especially when you're just starting out. You've got to pay to play. And if you're going to play, you need to play smart. That means knowing your numbers. The single most important metric you need to track is called ACoS, which stands for Advertising Cost of Sale. All it is the percentage of your sales that you spent on ads. It's the number that tells you, plain and simple, if your ads are actually making you money. But what's a good ACoS, right? Well, it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you're under 20%, you're golden. That's really strong profitability. That 20 to 35% range, that's a super healthy, sustainable spot for most products. Now, if you're launching a brand new product, you might be okay with an ACoS up to 50% for a little while, just to get some traction. But if you're consistently over 50%, that's a huge red flag. You're almost certainly losing money on those ad sales. And that brings us to our final step, and this is where it all comes together. We're talking about scaling for lasting profit. See, the goal here isn't just to launch one product and call it a day. It's to build a real, sustainable business that actually grows over the long haul. So what should you be aiming for financially? Well, the pros say a healthy and totally achievable net profit margin is somewhere between 15 and 25%. And let's be clear, we're not talking about revenue. This is the real, actual profit you put in your pocket after every single cost is paid. Getting to that kind of margin means you have to think bigger than just one product. It's really about building a brand. It means you're strategically adding new products, you're fine-tuning your supply chain to cut costs, maybe even looking at selling in different countries. It's the long game, and this quote really sums it up perfectly. The real win is building a business that gives you freedom, not just fast growth. The ultimate goal isn't just a big revenue number, it's creating a valuable asset that works for you. So there you have it, the complete 6-step playbook for FBA success. You've got the strategy, you understand the numbers, and you have the right mindset. The only question left is the exact same one we started with. What problem are you going to solve first?